Hello, students. I hope you will be fine at home. So, in the previous lecture, we have basically started the unit number one, that is the theory of errors. Topic is theory of errors. We have so many subtopics in it, but the main topic is that is theory of errors, and the subject name is power system instrumentation, and the code is double E3113 denotes the third year. And the power system instrumentation is basically deal with all the instrumentation part. Instrumentation means if we want to measure something, we need a instrument. That instrument is for the measuring purpose. So here we having the instrumentation for the power system. So it comes in the power system part. Means power system is a very wide subject. We can't say the power system having only one subject. In power system we having so many subjects. For example, we want to analyze the power system, so power system analysis, which type of engineering, what technology, what techniques we are using, that comes in power system engineering. Okay. And we having how can we generate power, transmit power, how can we basically convert from one form to another, because we use energy conservation law. So we can't say that we are generating, basically we are converting. So we are converting one form of energy to the another form of energy. So if I want to convert one form of energy to another form, means we are generating something. So generation of electrical power is there. I hope you understand. So GP subject also there. You have already studied this in your the basically in your second year. So GP is there, generation of electrical power. It is again a part of our system. Then in this we having TND, transmission and distribution. How can we transmit? How can we distribute? So TND is there, transmission and distribution is there. So these are all subjects comprised in the power system. Okay. So power system is a very wide subject. Almost 7 or 8 subjects cover in the power system. And in the competitive exam we have the maximum questions from power system and electrical machines. But in power system we having 7 or 8 subjects, just as I earlier told you: generation of electrical power, transmission and distribution, power system analysis, power system engineering, protection is also there, switch current protection. Okay. And power system analysis, so they are all come in this, and power system instrumentation is another part of it. So in this power system instrumentation, how can we use and which type of instrument we are using for the measuring purpose in power system? Because we know that if I am talking about the power system, it means I am talking about the electrical power. And electrical power is not alone, it basically dealing with two things: voltage and current. And if I am talking about the AC power, so it deals with the power factor, that is denoted by cos phi. So V and I and cos phi, you can say the AC power. But if I'm talking about the VI, that is the DC power. Okay. And we can also say that it is a active, basically the apparent power. Okay. So if I'm talking about this lecture, so in this lecture we can revise the previous things, and we need some methods also how to calculate the errors, because there are so many errors. So how can we calculate this one? So in this lecture we are going to study about the errors, how many errors we have. Now move forward. Objectives. If I'm talking about the objectives, if I want to teach you something, my dear student, if I want to tell you something, if I want to teach you something, so if I'm teaching you something, means I want to basically show you that thing, and I want to teach you that thing, and I want to tell you that thing which deal with this error. So types of error and their related theories. Theories means because the topic name is theory of error. So error is of different types. So how we can identify that we have a error? If I am not basically the error is find in an instrument, and I am not able to identify that which type of error. So how can we identify that it comes in this category? So first identify the errors. So how many types of error we have and their theories, and the understand the calculation of errors. Help the learner means you, the students, help the learner to understand the calculation of errors, how the errors we calculated, and in which manner, in which type of method we can use to calculate the errors. So this come in this whole lecture of mine. So just go through it, be patient, and try to understand. Now, first, types of error. First of all, if I am starting with the errors, so first identify the errors and understand the errors. Okay. So first, the basically three types of error are studied. Now, three types of error are studied. Three errors we know. One is the gross, means whole combination. Second is the systematic, it is through the system. Third is the random errors. Random, we can say in the random manner. Now, going forward, first is the gross error. Now, if I am talking about the gross error, so gross error mainly covers the human mistakes. Human mistakes means the mistake which you made, which you are making basically in the reading instrument. Means if you are want to read the instrument, so you are making some human mistakes, okay, while reading. And recording also means if you want to read. First of all, I am taking an example here. The ammeter is attached or connected in the circuit. Now you want to basically measure the current ratings. So in current ratings, you have to basically take out the four readings. So you basically take out the four readings, and the readings are as follows. For example, 11.2, 11.3, 11.4, and 11.5. Okay, and okay, but one reading you basically read by mistake, it is 21.5. Okay, so 11.2, 11.3, 11.4, 11.5 are four readings, but instead of 11.5, what you have basically read from the instrument, that is 11 point, that is 21.5 degree, 21.5 ampere. Okay, so 21.5 ampere is the wrong reading, and re-record also means you write also there. So in the calculation of measurement, you find always a error, not efficiency will be there, because the reading will be 11.5, but you have already read what? You read 21.5, my dear student. So that will be the error for you. Example also given here: due to oversight, means oversighting, the read of temperature, means thermometer is there, so read of temperature as 21.5 degrees centigrade, while the actual reading may be 11.5. The actual reading may be 11.5, but by the oversighting, what you have basically saw there, what you have basically read there, that is 21.5 degree. So that is the mistake, that is the error. Now move forward. Gross error may be of any amount, and then their mathematical analysis is impossible. So mathematical analysis is very impossible. If I am recording these four readings, three readings are true or correct, but fourth reading is incorrect. So how will I analyze this thing? So mathematical analysis is very impossible. So mathematically I can't able to analyze that one. So that is why we can say that mathematical analysis is impossible. Then these are avoided by adopting two means. So we can avoid by adopting two means great care must in the reading and recording the data. So first is, we have to take care, we have to see the matter again and again, we have to read the reading again and again. Great care will be there. If you have a vision problem, just wear your spectacles, wear your basically the specs to understand, to read that reading. Otherwise you always basically read the wrong reading. And recording the data also. Recording data means if you're having some we can say some you write, your basically writing is not good, and you write one like a two. So if you write one like a two and you write the reading in a two, but reading is in a one form, so always you're having the error. So what you have to do? Great care must in reading means if you use spectacles, you basically wear that specs and read it. And recording the data is on the right manner, right, in a good writing, with the good writing, so you can easily identify it for the coming future, near future. Two, three or more, two, three or even more readings should be taken for quantity under measurement. So readings should be two, three or more taken for quantity under measurement. So two or three reading you have to take. Okay, two, three or even more, because if you will not take more readings, what will happen? The measurement you're not correct, and you will not get the actual reading. Errors will be there. I hope you understand this. Now move forward. A systematic error. If I am talking about the systematic error, my dear students, so systematic error is basically classified into three categories. Now, if I am talking about the systematic errors, so systematic errors classified into three categories. Three categories are with me, or three categories I am using here. First is the instrumental error. The instrumental error is basically the error which is occurs in the instrument. It is by default or it is by the some manufacturing defect. They comes in category. Second one is the environmental error. So second one is due to the environment, means which type of environment is outside. You put your instrument in the pressure, you put your instrument in the dust, you put your pressure in the vibration. So you will get what? You will get the abrupt or adverse readings. So that is environmental error. Third is the observational error. Now, observational error means while the observing things, you make errors. So comes in observation. Now taking one by one. Now instrumental error. These error arises due to three main reasons. There are three main reasons. Through this, we can say the instrument having the errors, or we also called in the taken in the account as a instrument error. Okay, I hope you understand this thing. So these error arises due to three main reasons. First, due to inherent shortcoming in the instrument. So inherent shortcoming in the instrument, we can say we having some instrumental error. For example, now uh, in EMI, you have already studied the electrical measuring instrument subject, or measuring instrument subject is there. Electrical measurements also called as. In electrical measurements, we having two type of instrument to measure the thing. One is the permanent magnet moving coil, another one is the moving iron. So if I am talking about the permanent magnet moving coil, okay, so in that permanent magnet moving coil, we use two magnets, that is of permanent magnet, and one coil is moving between that magnet. And due to that deflecting torque, what happens? The pointer on a scale moves and gives you the final reading. Okay, where the deflecting torque and controlling torque become equal. Okay, now in this or the instrument which I am talking about, in that instrument, the controlling torque is basically take place due to the spring or tension of the spring. Now if I am using this spring which having the lower tension, and I make the wrong connection with the spring, not proper connection, what happen? It gives you the final reading but not stays at the zero. What happen? You will always get a mislead reading, not right error, right reading. So that is the thing, that the example also I have taken. If the spring user permanent magnet instrument has become weak, now tension, you are not getting the tension at the accurate manner, right manner, then instrument will always read high errors. The instrument will always read what? Which type of error? Read high. Always gives you the high, not fixed at 0. It fixed at 2 and you want reading 5, you will always get a reading 7. So always gives you the high reading. The error is there. Error may be caused because of friction. Some friction part is there. Hysteresis, reversal of magnetism, or even gear backlash. Okay. So backlash I already told you in the previous slides, in my previous lectures. Now due to misuse of the instrument. Second is what? Due to misuse of the instrument. Means misusing of the instrument, you are not connecting in the right manner. You are making the loose connections. If you are making the loose connection, my dear student, so due to misuse, or we can say not proper way, so what will happen? The error will occur, take place. The error will occur. So that error will be the basically the due to misuse of instrument. Third is due to the loading effects of instrument. Means loading effect means you are loading higher. You make it higher loaded or loaded air. So due to loading effect, for example, a meter is used for the 10 ampere measurement. Okay, and the basically measurement will take place for the 5 times, but still you are using for 10 times or more than it. So due to loading, the error will take place because some conditions or capabilities with you also. For example, you have to run or you have to walk for 2 kilometers daily. Now, one day you walk for 4 or 5 walk kilometers. So what happened? You will have some injuries. You will find some backache. You will find some ache in basically the pain in your leg, pain in your body. So due to happens because you are overloading it. So due to loading effect of instrument. Now environmental errors. If I am talking about the environmental error, so my dear student, environmental error if I am talking about, so these errors are due to conditions external to the measuring device. Means if I am connecting the measuring device in the conditions and I am not getting the right condition, means I am getting the adverse, we can say the adverse environmental conditions. So what will happen? The reading which I am taking or which I am getting is adverse. So these errors are due to conditions external to the measuring device, including condition in the are the surrounding the instrument. Means you put your basically the instrument in the surrounding which having the dust effect. You put your instrument in the dust condition, so what will happen? You will always get the false reading. You put your instrument in the high temperature but it works for the room temperature. For example, you have the instrument will have to work for 25 degrees centigrade as a room temperature, but you are working this temperature, this instrument for 45-degree temperature. So see, will that instrument give you the right reading? No, never, because temperature affects the reading. Pressure is again a part. You put the very high pressure, you put your instrument in very high air pressure. So what will happen? What will happen, my dear student? The pressure basically affects the reading of instrument. Dust dust basically indulge or induce in the instrument and their connections. So what happens? The connection is loose, so reading you will not get accurate or precise, or we can say good reading at every time, true reading at every time, because dust make the effect make a gap between connections. Vibration is there. So due to that vibration, what will happen? With the vibration, what will happen, my dear student? Due to vibration, the instrument can't measure the reading in a right manner. Or external magnetic or electrostatic field. If I put in the magnetic field externally, so in internally it is again a magnetic field and externally is also a magnetic field. So what will happen? That affects the needle, that affects the pointer, that moves, that rotates, and electrostatic field is also there. So these are the environmental errors. Then we having some observational errors. So first is the what? Cross error, which I already told you. Cross errors. Okay, then we have in systematic error. Now in systematic error, we have in three categories: environmental, first instrumental. These are the instrumental. Then we having environmental. Then we having observational error. Now observational error are due to the basically vision. First is the that is known as parallax. Parallax error after the vision, that is the apparent displacement when the line of vision is not normal to the scale. Now, if I basically want to see or want to measure or want to see the reading with the help of pointer, but I am seeing the wrong vision, not normal to that pointer. So what will happen? What will happen? Tell me. I am not getting the basically right reading or actual reading. So that comes in the parallax error. Second, inaccurate estimate of average reading. So I having the average reading, but I am not accurately estimating that average reading. That again observation, because I am recording it, but I at the time of recording I did not use any technique to measure it, and wrong technique I am using. So what I am getting? I am getting the wrong reading, wrong measurement, wrong scale reading, and wrong recording the data. Now if I am taking the scale reading is in the wrong manner, so I am taking the wrong reading the data, wrong recording of the data also. Okay, I hope you understand. Incorrect conversion of units between consecutive reading. Incorrect conversion of units between consecutive readings. Now, for example, in a pointer, I have a reading that is 4.25, but due to my vision or due to my correct, not the parallax error, I basically read it 4.5 and also recorded 4.5, and means I am not conversing the units in a consecutive reading. Incorrect conversion I am doing. So that all things cover into the observational error. Okay, I hope you understand these observational error. Okay, so see just these slides. I hope you understand. Read it. Okay, now moving forward. Now see, it is a graph shown to you to understand instrument reading, offset error, and slope is multiplier error. Slope is what? Multiplier error. Here in the graph, full line shows the systematic error in non-linear instrument. In non-linear instrument, that full line shows you the systematic error. We find the some systematic error in the non-linear. Non-linear instrument means input and output are in the non-linear form. Means input is not linear with the output. As I earlier told you in my previous lectures, the linearity shows between the input and output things. If I'm not getting the input output properly, means non-linearity is there. So here in the graph, full line shows the systematic error in the non-linear instrument, while broken line shows you the response of an ideal instrument without error. If I'm talking about the thing, the full line slope, this is the full line that is shown as the offset error. We can say the systematic error in non-linear instrument. Non-linear instrument where this input and output basically in not linear, means instrument reading and actual quantity. The actual quantity which you have to measure and the instrument reading are not in the linear form. So that full line gives you the offset error, and will also basically deals with the which type of error? Systematic error. But I am talking about the test, basically the broken lines shows you the response of an ideal instrument. This is showing you the slope, basically what response of an ideal instrument without error, means there will be no error. Okay, this is the ideal condition. In ideal condition, I we always think that we have a big bungalow with a good, basically brand car, good brand clothes we have to wear in the ideal condition. Okay, but in practical there will be some gap. Now see, random errors. Now random errors is the quantity being basis affected by many happenings in the universe. Many happenings in the universe means that in universe we have so many things. We having flood, we having basically what we can say storm, we having the earth, earthquakes, we having the pressure of air, we having so many things. Okay, so if I'm talking about these things, so they basically affected by many happenings in the universe, because we are talking about the universe. So we are aware of some of the factors influencing the measurement. We are aware for the some of the factors that influencing the measurement, but about the rest we are unaware. If I'm talking about the unaware, the error caused by happening or disturbances, the error caused by the happenings or disturbances, which type of disturbance we have or which type of happen about which we are unaware, which we are unaware, are random errors, are called means we don't know which type of error we'll find. We having some earthquake system, we having some pressure, we having some air pressure, so we having some errors that comes in the category of random errors, or it is also known as residual remaining errors, we can say. Understand? Hope you understand. Now example of random error. Now here we having the curve, that is normal Gaussian normal distribution curve. So if we want to understand the error, now if we want to understand the error, so we have to make some curve of it. Some Gaussian curve is there, because if we want to calculate, then we have some techniques, we have some technology through which we can calculate the errors. because if we don't have any technology or technique to calculate the error, so we kind find that it is the actual value or it is the actual measured value, or we are getting the right reading, we are getting the accurate reading, because we have precision and accuracy. In the previous my lectures, I told you about the precision and accuracy. Okay, so we go for the precision. If I am not getting the accurate reading, so we go for the precision. Okay, so examples of random error, that is the relative frequency. See here, one graph is there, m is the measured value, one is the m minus 3s, one is the m plus 3s. Here we having m plus 2s, here we having m plus 1s, here we having the m minus 1s, here we having the m minus 2s. So we can say that we having certain things, but the maximum value is written here, that is for the negative side or negative error we can say m minus 3s, but if we talk about the positive side error, that is m plus 3s, and the middle one, the actual value is m. Okay, now the Gaussian normal distribution, m is equals to mean of measurements. So many measurements I have, that m represents the mean, and s is basically the standard deviation. This is the technique how can we calculate the errors. Okay, I hope you understand. Just go through it, read it. The Gaussian normal distribution, m is equals to mean of measurements, and s is the standard deviation of measurement. So 68% of measurement lie in between m minus s to m minus, means 68% is lies between this two, we can say this. Okay, 68%. But if I talk about the 95%, so 95% lies between this portion to this portion, this portion to this portion. But if you talk about the maximum, that is 99.7% lies between m minus 3s to m plus 3s. So example of random error, we can say that we have so many random things are there. Due to so many things happen in the universe, we will get the error. We having some errors that comes in the category of random errors. Due to randomness, or we can say the happenings in the universe affects the reading or gives you the error in the measurement while we are measuring something. So that comes in the random error. I hope you understand about this thing. I'm repeating again. See here, we having this m is the measured value and s is the standard deviation and m is the measured. So this is the starting one. So 99.7% we'll find the measurement like right between this the curve. But if we talk about the 95% lies between here to here. But if we talk about this least, the lowest one, that comes in this thing. Okay, so three categories are given: 68%, 99.95%, and 99.7%. So we can say m minus s, single deviation, or m plus s. The condition, if I'm talking about this between this, that will get 68%. If I'm getting this thing, if I'm getting this thing between m plus 2s to m minus 2s, then we can say we having 95%. If I'm talking about m minus 3s to m plus 3s, we are getting 99.7%. So three category we have, and the errors will relate between this. So this is the example with the Gaussian normal distribution curve. Okay, the arithmetic mean. Now the best approximation that can be made of number of readings. Just read it. The best approximation means if I want to approximate my errors or approximate the errors, so the best approximation that can be made of number of readings of the same quantity is the arithmetic mean. Is the arithmetic mean. So arithmetic mean is also called mean value. Arithmetic mean is also called as mean value. So how can we calculate the mean value? Mean value, for example, I have 10 readings. I have what? 10 readings. Now I have to measure the 2 ampere current reading in a measuring instrument. Okay. Now I'm getting what? I'm getting 1.8 readings for 4 times, means 1.8, 1.8, 1.8. Then I'm getting 4 times reading of 1.7, 1.7, 1.7, 1.7, 1.7 because I am getting precision. And 1.9 reading for one time and 1.6, 1.6 for one time. Means 1.8 4 times, 1.7 4 times, 1.9 one times, 1.6 one time. So if I want to take mean of it, so I have to do what? 1.8 plus 1.8 plus 1.8 plus 1.8 plus 1.7 plus 1.7 plus 1.7 plus 1.7 plus what? Plus 1.9 plus 1.6 and divide by how many it's reading? How many readings? That is 10. So if I'm talking about the 10, so we can calculate the mean value by this method. Means we calculate or add the all readings and divide by number of readings. So the best approximation that can be made of number of readings of the same quantity is arithmetic mean. It is also called mean value. The mean is computed by summing all the values and the numerator and dividing by the number of measurements in the denominator. So I hope you understand. Just read it again. Just read it again to understand that arithmetic mean is what. I think so. You have already studied in the statistical theory. In statistics, you have already studied about the arithmetic mean. So that is similar to that one. That is similar to that one. I hope you understand this thing. Now move forward. Dispersion from the mean. Means if I am getting the dispersion from the mean. Dispersion from the mean means some dispersed value from the mean. I am not getting the actual mean. For example, I got a mean of 1.8. Okay. But I am taking a graph between 1.6 to 1.9. So I am dispersing from 1.8 to 1.6 to 1.9. So the property which denote the extent to which values are dispersed from center value is termed as dispersion. Now center value is basically the mean value, which I am thinking or which you want to understand. That center value will be the mean value. That will be, for example, 1.8. But if I am getting 1.6 and if I am getting 1.9, so I am basically dispersed about the center value, that is 1.8, is termed as dispersion, or it also known as dispersion. It called as dispersion. So it also known as spread or scatter. Scatter means scattered from here or spread. In C figure 1.1, which I am showing you in the next slide here, it is. Now two curves are there. One curve is between x1 to x2 and another one is x3 and x4. So the area of x3 x4 is higher compared to the x1 x2, but we can say the x1 x2 is moving from here. Okay. So now in the C figure 1.1, it shows two sets of data. In one case, curve 1, the values vary from x1 to x2. If I am talking about the curve, which is very smaller in the area, that is varies from x1 to x2. And in other curve 2, the values vary from x3 to x4. So if I'm talking about x3 to x4, that is the second curve, and it varying from high value. Though their central value is same, we can say the center value will same. Clearly, set of data represented by the curve 1 has a smaller dispersion than that of data represented by curve 2. So see, in this, the curve 1 is basically x1 to x2. So it is not dispersing from mean 1. Now this is the center value. See, this is the center value. So the dispersion in the negative side or in the positive side, we can say smaller one. See, this is the center value. Now if you identify the dispersion, a small dispersion is there in the x3 x1 side. But if I'm talking about the x2 side, again a small dispersion or scattering. But if I'm talking about the x3 x4 curve, okay, so we can say the dispersion is higher. We can say this thing. Okay, so as per this thing, we can identify all this thing. Okay, Now in 1.1 shows in data curve 1 the values from x1 to x2, and another curve 2 the value varies from x3 to x4, though the center value is same. Clearly set of data represented by curve has one has smaller dispersion than data for data represented by curve 2. Means x3 x4 basically had the higher dispersion. See higher dispersion till, and here we have smaller dispersion. So we can say this dispersion from the mean, means mean is the center value. Center value means, for example, we having 1.8. So 1.8 will be the center value. 1.8 will be the what? The central value. I hope you understand. Understand or not? Tell me. Okay. Now move forward. There are certain terms which must be defined as they form the basic basis defining the measure of dispersion of data. So if I want to basically find the dispersion of data, so in error we having same thing. In error we'll find same thing because we having some dispersion. Means the standard value, mean value will be 1.8. Example, I'm taking again another same example. Now in the, if I want to measure the ammeter, with the ammeter we want to measure 2 ampere, but I am getting 1.84 times, 1.74 times, 1.9 one time, and 1.6 one time. So first take a mean of it, that is the average value. Now if I am getting the average, that will be 1.8 for example, but I am having a dispersion from 1.5 to 1.8 and 1.8 to 1.9. So we are having the dispersion. So if I want to basically find out the dispersion, so there are certain terms which must be defined as they form the basis defining the measure of dispersion. So if we want measure of dispersion of data, so we have five things which is written over here, which is showing, which is I am showing you in the this presentation. That is, first is the range, another one is the deviation, third is the average deviation, fourth is the standard deviation, and fifth is the variance. So these are the basically calculation, and in the later on lecture I will tell you about the how can we calculate these things. So in this lecture, first thing see about these five things. Now first, the range. If I'm talking about the range, so the simplest possible measure of dispersion is the range, which is the difference between the greatest and the least value of data. Means greatest value and the least value. For example, greatest is 1.9 and least value is 1.5. So how much the dispersion we can take away? The range of curve 1 is x2 to x1. Now if I am talking about the range, so range is starting from x2 and the maximum is x2 and minimum is x1. So start from x1 and stops at x2. So maximum is x2, minimum is x1. And that of curve 2 is x4 to x3. X4 is maximum and x3 is minimum. Okay. Now deviation. Deviation is departure of the observed reading from the arithmetic mean of the group of readings. Deviation, basically deviate. We what we say, now that student deviate me from that student is one student which is sitting with me is deviate my basically lecture, basically my reading, deviate my reading by showing something to me. Okay, so deviate basically changing we have. So deviation is departure of the observed reading from the arithmetic mean of the groups of reading. Means if I took so many readings, for example 10 readings, so I have a what arithmetic mean of it. So if I am getting the departure of that observed reading, so we can say it is a deviation. What we can say, we can say it is a deviation. Now average deviation is also is there and standard deviation is also there. So average deviation is defined as a sum of absolute values of deviations divided by the number of readings. So how much deviation we have, we have make an average of it. Okay, now some of these deviation, for example we are getting 10 deviations, d1 d2 d3 d4 d5 d6 d7 d8 d9 and d10. So what we have to do in the numerator, we have to add d1 plus d2 plus d3 plus d4 plus d5 plus d6 plus d7 plus d8 plus d9 plus d10 divided by how many deviations we have, 10 divided by 1010. So we'll get the average deviation. So the absolute value of deviation is the value without respect to its sign. So we can say We'll get the negative sign also, means we are getting 1 point minus 1.8 minus 1.8 minus 1.8 minus 1.8. I'm getting 1.8 1.8 1.8. I'm getting 1.9 1.6. So we just not go for the minus sign. So the absolute value of deviation is value without respect to its sign. So we have to not look after these signs, we have to just work for it. Okay. Now standard deviation. Standard deviation is defined as a square root of the sum of the individual derivations. So we can say square root of the sum. It is what? The square root of the sum is defined as a square root of the sum of individual derivations squared divided by number of readings. It is the important term in analysis of random numbers. So if I want to basically evaluate, if I want to analyze the random numbers, so in the terms of random numbers or readings, it is a very good method, that is standard deviation. So it is the square root of the sum of the individual derivations. Squared means squared. First take the square root of it, squared in the form, and divide by the number of readings. It is the important term in analysis of random numbers. So in random numbers, it is very important. In the random numbers, it is very important. I hope you understand this thing. This is the range and deviation. Then we have the average standard deviation. Now this is the variance. Variance is basically the mean square deviation, which is same as standard deviation. Sometimes we represent it as a sigma. Standard deviation we represent as a sigma, except that square root is not accepted. Square root is not accepted, so we can call it as variance. We can call as what? Variance. We called as variance. So we having five categories: range. We can say the limitations from which we start or from which we end, at which point we are ending. So from which part we are starting is the starting limit, because the starting point, and at which we are ending it, that is the ending point. So that comes the starting and ending, we can say range. So we can also call it as limit or range, that we having start from 0 to 5. So 5 minus 0 is your range. Okay. Deviation means so many deviations are there, means mean value is there, main value is there. Now we are deviate. The mean value or accurate value is 1.5, but we are not getting 1.5 at a time. We are getting 5 readings. We are getting 1.5 at one time, but we are getting 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, 1.1. Maybe in minus sign, maybe in positive sign. So we are deviating with this. So these are the deviations. Now in average deviation, what we are going to do? In average deviation, we have to basically add all the deviations. For example, we have 10 deviations, so we have to add 10 deviations and divide by number of deviation, that is 10. Standard deviation is basically the squared and take a root of it. And variance is what? Similar to the standard deviation, but not taking a square root. So hope you understand. And now I'm revising again one thing. Here in this, we have three types of error: instrumental, environmental, observational. Instrumental due to the instruments problem, shortcomings, and some manufacturing defects or misuse and loading effects. Environmental is due to the pressure, temperature, and outer area. Then we having some observational error. In the basically the parallax error, we can say while observing, inaccurate or estimate, wrong scale reading, or incorrect conversion of unit. Means conversion is there if I want to basically converting the unit in the conservative in the non-correct manner, incorrect manner, we can say. This is the way we can see through the reading with the slope. I hope you understand. Next, we having the random errors. Now, random errors are being basically affected by the many happenings in universe. So many things occurs or take place in the universe. So errors is affected by due to this. That is the random errors. So we are aware of some of the factors influencing the measurement, but about the rest we are unaware. But about the rest we are unaware. The error caused by happening or disturbances about which we are unaware are random errors, are called as random errors. It is also known as residual, remaining or residual errors. I hope you understand. This is the example curve which I already showed you. Mean, to estimate it, how we can estimate. So take all the readings, add them, and divide by the number of readings. Dispersion from the mean. So we can say we have some dispersion If I am not getting the right deviation or basically the mean, so dispersion is there, like this. Now certain basically for the dispersion measure data, we have certain terms or methods. First is the range. First identify the range from where to where we have to work. Now how much deviation we will find? We take the average deviation, then standard deviation we can took, and we can take, and then variance. Okay. So all this thing we cover in the our lecture. These are some MCQs, which is basically you have to do it. First is which is the following is caused by careless handling. A system will be error free if we remove all systematic error. Which standard is fixed and used for industrial laboratories? Which of the following is not fundamental quantity? How systematic are eliminated? How can we eliminate? Okay. If an instrument is used in wrong manner while application, then it will result in which type of error? So I already told you in this lecture. Random errors is a measurement systems are due to you can say four options are there: environmental change, uncalibrated instrument, poor cabling practices, unpredictable. So I hope you know the answer. Just do it. Just correct it. The error behaves between mean of infinite data and means of infinite or finite data. Set is known as. Okay. The undesirable characteristic of a measuring system is or are. So you have to write it. The standard error is statistically measure of. So all the options are given to you in a question. That is why it is a multiple choice questions. So just do it, go through it. If you have any query, you can ask me. Now these are the sub references from which I took some material, and you can also read it for your references or for your understanding or knowing the thing. First is the A Course in Electronic and Electrical Measurement and Instrumentation by J.B. Gupta, Kataria publication. It is a good book available in our library. Secondly, Electrical Measurement and Measuring Instrument by Rajendra Prasad. That is Khanna publisher. Again, good book. A.S. Morris. Now, that is a Principle of Measurement and Instrumentation, Prentice Hall of India. So that is a very good book in my view, and I took some metal from it as for your reference. So you can also read it to better understanding. So I hope you understand all these things. So this is all about from my side. This is all about from my side in this lecture. Hope you understand and hope you remember for the future. Because try to understand, not to basically learn it. Because if you learn it, you can be forget it. But if you understand it, so I hope you will remember for the coming near future. Okay. So this is all about from my side. Okay. Hope you understand.